Beyond that, oh, I done found me a chiseled white man who hopefully has both his top and bottom lip together and looks like whatchamacallit, a model down there at the Calvin Klein whatchamacallit campaign ad. Beyond that, this man was white. You think white is right? Hello, welcome back to Bennystake. I'm your girl Benny, and listen, I'm back right here on the couch again. I am back in the closet, and closet actually is my closet and my office. I saw a creator refer to her, her space as her closet, and I was like, yo, that's so clever. So this is what I call this room. This is where I record. This is where I got my little printer. We're back in here, right? We're back in the studio. We're letting it do what it do. You see the backdrop. You see the lighting, you see the mic. The mic is on. I don't know how to clip it on this here. Maybe I could just, can I do that? Because the other shirt I wore the other time, it was easier. Is this going to clip? You going to clip for the woman? I go, oh, look at that. It don't clip. You kind of can't see it, but it's right here. It don't clip. So if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. Today we are talking about the Danish deception. Okay, so not only Eve was deceived, our sister Onyeka. Is it Onyeka? Is her name Onyeka? Let me go ahead and see. I feel like her name is Onyeka, our Igbo sister. You were deceived by a white man. Ah, me the way I'm here, I'm embarrassed for you. I'm very Onyeka. Our sister Onyeka was deceived. She got her Eve deception on. Was deceived by a white man from Denmark. Okay, we're gonna get right into it because baby, that whole series was long. Okay, it took a long periodical time.
We have to sit out here and wait a long periodically time.
You know what I'm saying? And I just realized that as a professional yapper and somebody that talk too much, I don't really think I like listening to people that be talking too much all the time either. Cause me and my good sister Onyeka, we talk. Okay. So sitting there and having to just listen to her on and on. She kept going on and on. This was a 25-part series. I was so over it. I was like, dang, this is long. Is that how y'all feel when y'all be watching some of my videos? Because I be like, dang, I be so long-winded. All I do is talk. Okay, I just be, even now I'm doing it. We could have been introduced and started the video, but no, me, I'm still talking. And so just sitting there and having to listen to her go on and on and on, I was just like annoyed, like, beloved, get to the point. Like, wrap this up in Jesus' name. Okay? Wrap this up in Jesus' name. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, and I'm just gonna like, girl, please get to the point, because basically, yeah, I was just like wasting my time at a certain point. And she kept saying, I'm not gonna waste your time, and then proceeded to continue to give us details that ain't had nothing to do with nothing. So I'm gonna try my best. I'm not gonna be successful, but I'm gonna try my best, okay, to keep this, under an hour, probably like a good 30 minutes, just kind of like keep it cute and mindful, give y'all the summary so that y'all don't have to go ahead and go through everything that I went through listening to the Danish deception. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. I'm out here doing the thing. You do the thing. Like my video, share my video if you like it, comment, do all of the things, and let's just go ahead and get into it, shall we? So the whole story is basically a young black Nigerian woman, our good sister Onyeka. She was on a vacation with her friend. Her friend then went to Croatia, right? And they was at the beach. They was chilling and drinking, chilling and drinking. You know how it goes. They was just chilling and drinking. Lo and behold, beholding the laws, why the woman of God gonna be sitting and she gonna see a handsome white man? And I'm like, a handsome white man? She said, yeah, girl, I don't see me a handsome white man that looked like he done came straight up out of whatchamacallit, Calvin Klein, whatchamacallit ad. And I'm like, okay, so it's giving supermodel. She was like, he was chiseled and he was doing all of the things, right? So as soon as she see the man gonna come up and they start talking and they talking, and they exchange whatchamacallit, Instagram accounts or whatever the case is. So that's how they meet. She meets the handsome white man, and I'm like, girl, make sure he has his top and bottom lip, because if they don't have a top lip, it sometimes can be a problem. She doesn't disclose that, but that's what I'm thinking. Anyways, so they don't exchange Instagrams, and then later on they meet up in person. Cool, cool, cool. Everything is going well. And why they gonna keep talking on the Instagram? This baby is hiding all of her pictures, this, that, and the third. Cool. So she leaves and she goes back home from the vacation, and then she maintains contact with this man, this handsome man that looks like he came straight up out of the whatchamacallit, the ad of the Calvin Klein and them. So I'm like, okay, cool. Now she go back home, and why the man gonna be like, oh, I'm trying to fly you out so we can go ahead and spend some time together. And so she's like, dang, like I don't really know if I should do this. But then she talks to her people and she decides to go ahead and be gone and meet up with the man in whatever country, right? Because our good sis, one thing about her, she gonna travel. The whole story, all they did was get into some things and then travel. So she decides to go ahead and go meet with this man. And first things first for me, she done said that the man that invited her and this man decided to go ahead and book everything, and I felt uncomfortable with that. Comment down below and let me know, because one thing about me, call it paranoia or what, you not finna know my whereabouts if I don't know you like that. Like if you want to go ahead and whatchamacallit, pay for some things, go ahead and Zelle it or something. Let me book my accommodation, right? I don't want anything to be under your name, and I'm basically having to kind of like rely on you, a man I do not know. That to me is just kind of like, I hope you girlies are not doing this, because then that man will know exactly where you're at. You know exactly what room you're at, and that's like a whole new country. The person could be like a weirdo, which we end up seeing that the man was a weirdo. But our good sis was like, dang, he handsome. He looked like whatchamacallit, a model, very chiseled, from down there at the Calvin Klein whatchamacallit magazine or ad. And I'm like, dang, this baby must have both his whatchamacallit, top and bottom lip as a handsome white man. So she in love. She's like, okay, she gonna go ahead and be gone. So she goes there. They done fell in love, this, that, and the third. This man was like, we're gonna go ahead and go shopping. You could pick out whatever you want. Okay? So this man booked her flight, paid for the accommodation, and I guess, fed her while she was there. And this man took her shopping, talking about you could buy whatever it is that you want to buy, and I got you, you could buy whatever. Why this baby gonna be like, dang, I want him to think I'm with him for his money. And I'm like, pause. As a black woman, as a black and a Nigerian woman, why would you not want that from a white man? That's reparations, beloved. Get it how you get it. Why would you not want to be with a white man for money too? I'm not saying you ain't got to love the man of God, but it's like if the money gonna come with it, consider that as part of the reasoning as to why you should be with a white man. As a black woman from Nigeria, you should consider that definitely. Ain't nothing wrong with that, because that's a great incentive. So why they gonna be at this low or whatchamacallit shopping spree, and she gonna be like, yeah, I just kept it really cute. I kept it very mindful. I decided to just go ahead and pick out, this $200 whatchamacallit, this $200 freaking sunglasses, even though what I really wanted was this Chanel bag. And I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. I guess I have different morals and different standards than I do. Cool, let it do what it. That's essentially how she falls in love with this man over that trip. And on that very same trip, she done told this man that she loved the man. And she had an incident where they was at the restaurant. This baby done fell, and she was at the hospital, and it was just like a lot going on. So this baby done fell at a restaurant, and she had to go to the hospital. And she was like, that should have been a sign that I saw as a red flag. But I just decided to ignore it. I bought me some shoes, that he ain't paid for, because I'm trying to convince him that I'm not like a gold digger or nothing. Even though white people been going down there in Africa digging all our gold. You had a chance to go and be digging gold from a white man. You decided not to take in, Sister Onyeka. I'm disappointed. But if that's your morals, that's your morals. So they done fell in love. She ignored the red flags. She matched it with her sweater. She done matched it with some shoes and kept it pushing. Cool. I want to pause here and say this. One of the things that really annoyed me, right? It annoyed me, pissed me off, broke my heart for her a little bit is that this man really didn't do nothing to, this man didn't give her anything to explain the ways in which she will end up investing all of this money into him. Because I'm not going to keep you out for the 25 series. The whole story is that this man had a gambling addiction, and this man proceeded to essentially, start borrowing money from him here and there and this and the third. And she kept giving him the money. What annoyed me is that in her mind, this man had money. And the reason why she felt like this man had all this money and that he was going to be able to pay her back, this, that, and the third, was based off of him paying for this trip, okay? And essentially buying her $200 worth of whatchamacallit, sunglasses. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I can understand that maybe impressing somebody who's not well traveled, somebody who just, be in one state, right? Like the kind of person that all they do is go to Miami. Like, we just gonna go to Miami, you know what I'm saying, and come right back. The people that don't maybe travel internationally, this and the third. I can understand how, a flight, you know what I'm saying, in a little hotel room might impress that girl. But when you listen to her story, because like I said again, all they did was travel and have this man ask her for money. That's all that happened all throughout the story. So the fact that a flight, a hotel room, and a couple meals in Europe was that impressive to you as somebody who's very much well traveled, you met him on a trip to Croatia with your friend, right? Like, you were well traveled. So something as a flight and a hotel room should not have impressed you to the magnitude and to the levels in which it did. That annoyed me because it's like, okay, after that, now they're in a relationship. She lives in Dallas and they're in a relationship. They're going back and forth, doing long distance relationship. And so this man begins all these little tricks that he would then later play on her. And I feel like she believed this man to be wealthy. She believed this man to be essentially, I don't know, this man that can stand up financially just on the strength alone of like, girl, he done bought you a flight and like a hotel room with some sunglasses. Like, what is it about that made you feel like you needed to go ahead and start tapping into your savings to help support this man or help support, all these business ventures that he would come and tell her he was doing? What I really think is the real reason, partially, is that this is a white man. Let's keep it about. Y'all may not agree with this. Not everybody may agree with this take, but I feel like part of the reason why this man was able to come and, essentially con you and deceive you the way you said is because you were trusting of his wealth, even though you had no proof. You had no inkling. You had no evidence. You had no data that says this man was actually wealthy. But sometimes y'all be associating whiteness with wealth. Y'all always think that white is right. You partly felt comfortable loaning that man $6,000 because that's the first amount she ends up giving to him. You felt comfortable giving that baby that money because subconsciously there's this thing. I don't know if it's just like amongst all black people or just like, Africans. I'm not sure what it is. But there's this idea of like white being right. Of course, he has money. He's white. Of course, he would have money. He's European white. He's charming. He's all the. Of course, he would have the money. Why not? I don't think if he was a black man that this man would have been able to pull this over your head. There's a part of you that would have been a little bit more suspicious because I'm going to say a lot of us, we're not as trusting of our own people the way we are trusting of white men or white people, period. Which is crazy to me because the biggest scam of our world, we have colonization, we have, slavery. All of that came from the whites. All of that came from the colonizers. But somehow we view them as like the right way. If it was Brother Tyrone, you would have been like, but he was European. He was charming. I met him in Croatia. Of course he's wealthy. Of course he gonna pay me back the money. Of course, if he needs this, there's no world in which where this man can maybe be wasteful or whatever the case is. Of course not. Sometimes a lot of us be thinking white is right, that white equals wealth, and then add, the part where he's European. They met on a trip and he done bought me a low flight. He paid for my hotel. He bought me $200 of sunglasses, which is a girl. I could have been got you that, and I ain't even got the money like that.
Hefty chunk of change. I was like, how much is it going to cost? He's like, $50,000. I was like, $50,000? What? Like, that's obviously a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, like, what's the plan? He's like, I mean, I have a good portion of it, so I just need to ask my dad for a little bit of a loan.
Mind you, they're doing this long distance, right? So every time he come in with an emergency, and then he gonna be like $50,000. It's gonna be like $50,000. Ain't nobody got no $50,000. That's a lot of money.
And so I remember being like, I can never in a million years ask my dad for a loan of $50,000.
If he don't ask his daddy for money, who he supposed to ask? Like, that is his father. Do you see how psychologically this man started setting her up already? Oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and ask my dad. It's $50,000, but don't worry about it. I'm just gonna go ahead and ask my dad. And she like, oh, I could never ask my dad. Why not? Who should he ask if not his father? Why not? Shoot, I need to go ahead and ask my daddy for some money because listen, I ain't come here by myself. Who responsible for me? Who brought me here? You gonna pay for some things. Why not?
So at this point, I was aware of the fact that like they had this royal title, they had this family trust that and the family had money. I didn't really know like how much or the details behind it. But he told me he was gonna call his dad and ask him for a loan. So a couple hours go by, he calls me and he's really upset. He's like, I talked to my dad on the phone. He will not loan me the money. He says, I've been acting super irresponsible, traveling, doing all these things. And so he just doesn't wanna, he thinks I need to like learn from my actions.
So you mean to tell me his own father, okay? The man responsible for having him on this here earth. This man tells you, right? The man himself that was deceiving you, the man that looked like the model from the Calvin Klein, whatchamacallit magazine. This man's father, okay? His own father gonna tell him, and he gonna tell you that his father think that he been irresponsible with money. And his own father not finna go ahead and lend him the money. What about this made you feel like now it's time for you to go ahead and insert yourself and rescue a white man from Denmark, beloved? His own father, his own papa said you've been irresponsible. He comes out of his own mouth and tells you, my papa said I've been irresponsible with money. Sister Danish, she decided to go ahead and invest in a man whose own papa told him. And then he told you his papa told him that he's been irresponsible with money. Let's continue.
And so a couple days go by and he's communicating that he's still stressed out about coming up with this money. And so I said, you know what? Like, I can loan you the money. And so at this point, I had paid off my student loans, paid off my car, bought a house. Like, had a decent savings. I was in a really, really good financial position.
So this man, the first time he didn't even ask our good sis. She done offered herself because days done went by and this baby done communicated that he was still sad about the plumbing. Mind you, this is a plumbing of a building you do not live in, okay? If them toilets gonna clog up, what that got to do with you? You all the way in Dallas. What that got to do with you from a man you met 2 months ago who has a royal title? He done told you. He part of like the royal family. I don't know what a royal title mean. This man, whatchamacallit, has a daddy who has money. His own papa said he won't lend him the money for a toilet that the papa does not live in. But it's you that decided to offer yourself. We're going to talk about, oh, at this point, I done paid everything. My sister, Jesus paid it all. Do you see him giving people money for no reason? I been asked the son of God, and even he don't be giving me money. And he did pay it all. What you mean? I done paid off my student loans. I done paid off my credit card. I done paid off my house. Jesus paid it all. And even Jesus didn't want to loan him the money. What made you think that you, Onyeka, as a Nigerian American, was supposed to be the one to rescue a white man from Denmark who looks like a model down there at the Calvin Klein, whatchamacallit, magazine ad? Beloved, even the son of God don't be borrowing me no money and he paid it all. What you mean you don't paid everything and so you want to pay more for the white man? Beloved, he ain't even ask you like, you did this for a white? You did this for a white. Again, like I said, it's this idea that of course he's wealthy, he's white. Of course he gonna pay me back. Beyond the attraction. Yes, the attraction was part of it. Yes, she was in love. We've all been in love and we done some stupid things. One time I paid whatchamacallit, like $600 for this stupid boy to go ahead and do skydiving because that's what he wanted to do. And the skydiving was like $200. What this baby gonna be like, oh, he wants to take the pictures with it. I'm like, if you don't picture it in your mind, but like a dummy, I done added the photo package too because it was his birthday. But I did that one time. One time. And I was 18, Sister Onyeka. It's some stupidity that has to align with the age that you're at. You are not a young babe. Okay? You are not. What do you mean? Because Jesus paid it all, beloved. And he ain't borrowing nobody no damn money. I been asking him all the time. This baby not giving me nothing. Let's call him again. Let's see if he gonna give me 6,000 because I could use me some 6,000. It ain't even ringing. And I know he on the main line. Let's wait. Nope. He not trying to borrow me nothing and he paid it all, beloved. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? It's not a lot of things in my life that I can say like, oh, could never be me. But I promise you right now, okay, I could bet you, both my booty cheeks. I could bet you both my booty cheeks, okay, and my canal lips that this could never be me. He has a royal title. He has all this money that he told you he has. His own papa, who also has money, will not borrow him. Jesus will not borrow him money. But now it's you. Onyeka. Onyeka. Why I'm mad and it's not even my money that she... Let's continue.
Financial position. And so I wanted to help him, especially because like this man has like treated me so well and done so much for me.
What did he do? This man has treated me so well and he's done so much to me. What did he do? So far, all I counted, y'all, I watched the whole thing. All I counted was the flight down there in, when they went to Monaco, and then the hotel and the couple dinners that they done went to. That's all. At this point, that's all this man has done. What has this, like, show your work, beloved. Like, carry the tree and show your work. What had he done? You wanted to help him so much. What had he done? Up until that point, it was a flight and $200 sunglasses, which should not impress somebody like you. You are well traveled. She ain't just went down there to Miami, down there to whatchamacallit, South Carolina, North Carolina. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with visiting all these different states. But when I'm saying somebody that's like well traveled, like she had plans of going to South Africa, Portugal. She travels a lot. And as you watch, the rest of the series that she did, she's been to like 26 different countries. So somebody booking you a flight to go ahead and go to Monaco should not have impressed you to this magnitude. Then now you're going to be Captain Save a Nigga. A white one. Onyeka, Sister Danish.
And I truly felt like we were in a partnership, especially like when you're talking about the future with someone. And so
we were just talking about the future. The future hadn't even arrived. We were just talking about the future.
I told him, like, let me loan it to you. He goes, I would never in a million years borrow money for you. And I was like, it's okay. Like, I don't mind helping. He's like, that's like not even a discussion I want to have. And I said, okay, that's fine. So a couple of days go by and he's still stressing out about coming up with this money. I asked him, like, how much do you need? He's like, it's 10,000 I need. And I was like, again, like, let me loan it to you. He said, no, I'm not taking money from you. And then a couple days go by and he says, okay, like now I need 6K. And I was like, okay, again, let me give it to you. He's like, no, I still don't want to take money from you. And then basically like 2 days before he's supposed to come to Dallas, he tells me, he says, just letting you know, I'm not be able to come to Dallas because I need to figure out this issue. And at this point I start freaking out because I'm like, no, like I 100% like want you to come still. Just let me loan you the money so that you'll be fine and we can, be happy and be together. And so after some thinking, he was like, okay, fine, I will borrow the money from you.
Sister Danish, you begged a white man to borrow him money. You as a Nigerian, like you begged a white man. So you could borrow Sister Danish. Sister Onyeka Danish. You begged a white man to borrow you money. You begged a white man to borrow him money. Hey! Onyeka Danish. Onyeka Danish. You have a long lost twin. Her name starts with B. And the last name is Fu. I'm not going to say that's you, but what I'm going to say is that's your twin. And you know how that twin telepathy works? It did a wireless transfer and you wasn't thinking straight. Because you begged a white man to borrow him money. And you see how he played in her face? I will never in a million years borrow money from you. But 2 days later, I can't come to Dallas to visit you because I need to handle this. Mind you, this is a wealthy white man according to you. Because the reason why you were feeling comfortable to loan him, the 10,000 at the time, and then when he came back, it's now 6,000. The reason why you felt comfortable in loaning it to him is because you believed he had money. What kind of a wealthy white man, a wealthy man in general, what kind of a wealthy person would be in such a bind that he cannot come up with $6,000? What kind of somebody that's going to be business savvy, that's not going to have $6,000 of cash flow to fix an emergency that comes up? Sister Onyeka, and you begged this man to your own money. You begged to give the white your own money. We are fighting for reparations. No, you are begging. The European trumpet is that in tune. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when the trumpet is blowing at the right whatchamacallit tempo, at the right whatchamacallit tune, sometimes certain things can become a little blurry. It's the European trumpet. That well in tune, my sister. You begged a while.
So after some thinking, he was like, okay, fine, I will borrow the money from you, but you have to promise me that this will be the only time and that you're 100% comfortable with giving me this money. And I said, absolutely, I'm 100% comfortable.
And it was exactly at this point that I was like, this man did not deceive you. Y'all can go ahead and disagree with me, but this man did not deceive you. You were a willing participant. Because he asked you, are you willing? Are you sure you're willing to give me the money? You say, yes, beloved, I'm willing. Okay? I'm willing to bear your cross. I'm going to bear mine and I'm going to bear yours. I am willing. You were not deceived. You participated willingly because you begged this man. Because as soon as he said he would never in a million years, okay. His own papa said he wasn't going to lend it to him. You said no. The papa is wicked. Why is the papa abandoning him? The papa is not nice. His own papa said he would not lend it. And according to his own, he came out of his own mouth and he said, my papa thinks I'm irresponsible. You knew him for the whole of 2.5 seconds. You mean to tell me you know him better than his own papa, whose assessment of his own son would be that my son is not responsible with money, so I'm not even going to borrow him. His own papa said that. You say the papa is wicked and he's abandoning. Okay. The papa's abandoned him. You want to rescue. You offer the rescue. He says no. Then you beg. You beg to rescue a white man. This man did not deceive you. You willingly participated. Willingly. Willingly. You have to promise me that this is going to be the last time. If this man, how he going to ask you to promise, how he going to ask you to promise him for him to not ask you for money again? So what exactly was he, what promise did you make in that moment? Like you're what, promising not to ever offer him support again, to never offer him help? Is that what he asked you to promise? How did you not pick that up as manipulation? Yes, we were in love for sure. But a lot of the stupid things he told you did not land to you as stupid because you think white is right. White is wealthy. Because later on, not only would this man scam her, this man will scam her family and her friends, which I'm assuming most of them are Nigerians. Most of them are like maybe blacks. Maybe she could have other friends, in a more diverse group of, whatchamacallit, cultures and stuff like that. But again, and she gonna say the irony of it all, for him to go ahead and be a Danish man to scam a bunch of Nigerians. And I'm like, yeah, that's ironic. But partially, the reason why he was able to be successful is because you guys were not anticipating that a white man could be a con artist. You guys were not thinking that a white man could be lying about his wealth, because what? White is right. White is wealthy. Even though when you look at the history of the world, when you really study history, the most deceitful people have been white. The people that have caused the most harm to societies, to cultures, to different groups of people, they've been white. He said he had a royal title. You didn't verify that, like nothing. The girl is not doing a little bit of a search anymore, like we're not double checking these men before we like go on dates with them. We're not double checking these men before we fly from Dallas all the way to Monaco. Let this man, see our passport. let this man, book our flights and, book our hotel, know exactly like our whereabouts. Like, we're not doing no check, no nothing. No checks and balances. The guardians are not doing that no more. Yeah, don't believe in whatchamacallit, stranger danger no more, huh?
I know that I want to spend my life with you, and I'm just thank you for being the man that you are. And he said, I want to spend my life with you, and I'm gonna let you know, like, I already know that I want to marry you someday. Like, and I don't want you to ever doubt that.
I also wanted to pause and like play this little clip for you guys, because another pattern that I noticed with her is that she led a lot of the first, right? When she flew to whatchamacallit, to Monaco to meet with him, she essentially was the one that said, I loved you first. And when, he was asking about the money, she offered the money. In fact, she begged for the money. And right here, this was after a conversation about, her grandmother passing and having the funeral, and him lying about, being in the Olympics or whatever the case is that he was lying about. And so now she was like, oh my gosh, like, I really want to spend the rest of my life with you. She was defining every step of the relationship. She was the one leading the first. Which is why, as much as I empathize with, like, dang, like, this guy is terrible and disgusting, and he has, like, whatchamacallit, an addiction, like a gambling addiction, which is, why he's been conning all these people all this time. If that's even true, or he could just, like, I don't even know, right? But as much as I want to empathize, I don't. A part of me is like, girl, you were not deceived. You opened the playing field for this man to play in your face. It literally, the cycle was like, okay, this man will ask to borrow some money, she'll borrow him the money, and then they'll go on a trip. Why are we funding trips to a man that owes us money? Literally. Borrows me money, never pays it back, we go on a trip. Borrows me money, never pays it back, we go on a trip. But she initiated a lot of the things. She initiated their love views. She initiated the initial, like, oh, let me go ahead and loan you the money. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And he was like, you know what? I too want to spend the rest of my life with you. You laid the groundwork.
And so he said, what are your thoughts on us going ring shopping? And keep in mind, at this point, we've been dating for like 4 months, 3-4 months. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. So we found a jeweler. We went and we tried on some rings. I remember I'm trying on lab grown and natural, and I'm like looking at the price differences, and I'm like, I am not allowing you to buy me a natural stone.
Why now? And this is the part where sis started pissing me off, because again, you've borrowed this man money under the knowledge that he's so wealthy and he's so, savvy, right? Even when he doesn't have like physical money, he does have the mind, and he does have the resources, and he does have the businesses, acumen, right? To acumen is a word. We're gonna go with acumen. He does have the business, or whatchamacallit, acumen to go ahead and earn the money. If you truly in your heart believe that about him, why now? Why not let him buy you the whatchamacallit, the natural, or whatchamacallit, diamond ring? Or did you not think this man actually had the money? And if you didn't think this man actually could afford all these different things that he was promising you, because up until this point, the only thing again that this man has done, okay, is fly you to Monaco, book your flight to Monaco, and buy you $200 worth of sunglasses. And like all maybe the other foods that you may have ate while you guys were in Monaco. That's all this man has done. So did you not believe he was wealthy? And if you didn't believe he was wealthy, what is it in you that made you feel like you had to go ahead and beg him to go ahead and pay off, whatchamacallit, pay for and loan him the money?
Personally, he talked to you about it. I go, what's up? He goes, so I talked to a doctor because my back has gotten really, really bad, and turns out I have 2 herniated discs, and I'm gonna need to get surgery. And I said, okay, like, that's fine. And he said, I'm gonna have to get surgery December 21st. I think it's on December 23rd, he sends me a message and he says, I'm so angry. I just got into a fight with my sister. And maybe like 5 minutes later, he gives me a call and I'm like, what happened? He said, we're sitting in the hospital room and my dad is obviously laying in the bed and my older sister looks to me and says, so where are you spending Christmas? And I said, not with you, bitch. And it turned into a huge fight. They started screaming at each other in the hospital. And so I remember just being like so confused as to like why his sister is like this awful person. Like, why is she treating you like this, especially at a time when your dad is not doing okay? And so he calls me. He's like, I'm just so upset. Like, I want to get away. And I said, well, let me know what you need from me. Like, I'm literally a plane right away. And he said, well, I obviously, like, now that I'm like don't want to be around my family, I would love to see you. And I said, okay, well, I can book a flight to Copenhagen and come stay with you. And he said, I don't know, I just kind of feel like I just need to get out of Denmark. And at that point, he was obviously in his hometown in Aalborg, which is 4 hours north of Copenhagen. And so he took a train back to Copenhagen. He's spending Christmas completely by himself, so sad. And we're still trying to iron out what the plans are. And he, again, tells me, I want to leave Denmark. And I was like, are you sure? Because at this point, like, I knew that I wouldn't say we were having like financial issues, but I knew like obviously there was like a little bit of tension with like all of his expenses that were adding up. And so I was like, you know, it might be easier for me to just fly there and I can just stay with you. And he's like, I just really want to get away. And I said, okay, where do you want to go? He said, have you been to Paris before? And I said, no, I actually have not been to Paris. And he's like, well, let's do Paris. And I said, okay, I'm absolutely down to do Paris. He had told me that he had made a transfer from his business account to his personal account. And obviously in the States, when you make a transfer like that, it's just like a click of a button. Like, I have a business account, it's a click of a button. But he told me that in Denmark, when you make a transfer from your business account to your personal account, it actually has to go through the IRS. They take out the taxes and then they deposit the money into your personal account. And I'm over here thinking like, that's so crazy. But I also know like Denmark is a foreign country that I don't know anything about. I didn't question it for a second.
My sister. I'm sorry. That Denmark is not under the sea. Okay? Denmark, not under the sea. Denmark is not in space. Can things be that? I'm talking about, can things be that different? What do you mean for him to transfer his funds from his business accounts down there in Denmark? The IRS has to get involved. Beloved, it is some things that's like, okay, it's not worth questioning, but it's some things we got to go ahead and, plug in the numbers. I always tell you, I carry the 3. You guys to carry the 3, not gonna carry herself now. That baby's legs don't work really well. You got to carry the 3. How he gonna connect a bank transfer to the IRS down there in Denmark, and you believe that things in Denmark are that different? Beloved, you were not deceived. Like, you were a willing participant in this foolishness. And another thing that annoyed me listening to this series, unlike maybe like the Risa Tisa, from the jump, Risa Tisa was like, you know what? It was a lot of red flags, and I just was in love, and I thought this was my time. So it's a lot of things I ain't really questioning for real, because I didn't want to question certain things, because I didn't want to lose this person that I thought was sent for me, and I thought this was my time. Sister Onyeka, this was not her tone. Her tone was very much just kind of like, dang, like, this man did these things to me. Yes, this man did these things to you, but you participated. You were willingly there. You were willingly there. Willingly. How the IRS gonna be involved for every bank transfer? How you gonna believe that the Danish people, they just like what, that disorganized? That every time you guys to go ahead and move a law, $10 from here to there, you guys to involve the IRS. Beloved. No.
And so he said, I'm just gonna ask my mom to give me a quick little loan so I can obviously cover everything with Paris and whatnot.
So this is the second time that this baby is now having to go to his parents to borrow some money. But after this, you continue to pay for things and you continue to again lend this man some money. The first time around, you had to beg him to give him money. But after that, this baby just like started asking you, give me money, borrow me money, borrow me money. He never paid you the 6,000, mind you. But every time the story was always like he trying to borrow money from his dad, he trying to borrow money from his mom, he trying to borrow money from his sisters. He was always trying to borrow money. How can you keep lending money to somebody that stay trying to borrow some money from other people? What is it about him that made you feel like he was going to be able to pay you back when all the conversations involved him trying to ask for other people to loan him money? Nothing about that raised a red flag to you. Why? Again, I think that beyond the love, beyond the, oh, I done found me a chiseled white man who hopefully has both his top and bottom lip together and looks like a model down there at the Calvin Klein campaign ad. Beyond that, this man was white. You think white is right. Yo, when I tell you, Onyeka Danish and her village people, they're working extra time to make sure that I don't get this video out, okay? Because tell me why I done stepped out because I had a doctor's appointment and I come back, I record the rest of the video. The rest of the video with my outfit, with everything I had going on yesterday. Why the sound wasn't working? Yo, all the footage was just like, I'm talking about look around, everything is on mute. I don't know what happened. And I was so mad because it was literally at least 40 minutes worth of video, right? 40 minutes worth of footage that is just like gone. I can't use because it's just like, that's just what I look like. And I'm just like, Onyeka Danish, you ain't had no smoke for whatchamacallit, for your eggs, okay? You ain't had no smoke for him. But it's me that you want to have smoke for. Just because I'm commenting and I called you whatchamacallit, Boo Boo the Fool's long lost twin, like, is that why you mad? Like, what's going on? I will not be defeated though. I will continue my video. I will finish the video. Eh? So you had this man call her and literally tell her like, okay, so we was at the hospital because apparently the daddy was, sick. So they at the hospital, right? Her, the older sister, the younger sister, and the mama, right? The sister gonna ask her like, okay, so what you gonna do for Christmas? Why this baby gonna be like, oh, not spend it with you, bitch?
I'm so angry. I just got into a fight with my sister, and maybe like 5 minutes later, he gives me a call, and I'm like, what happened? He said, we're sitting in the hospital room, and my dad is obviously laying in the bed, and my older sister looks to me and says, so where are you spending Christmas? And I said, not with you, bitch. And it turned into a huge fight. They start screaming at each other in the hospital.
And you have sister Onyeka Danish gonna talk about how like, oh, I remember feeling like, what's wrong with the older sister? Why is she so mean? And I'm like, ma'am.
So I remember just being like so confused as to like why his sister is like this awful person. Like, why is she treating you like this, especially at a time when your dad is not doing okay?
Are you slow? This man literally told you the way the incident went. They're at the hospital because the daddy done got him some cancer. Okay, bless his heart. Bless his poor little ting ting heart. Okay, the daddy done got him some cancerous whatchamacallit cells going on in his body. It's Christmas time. It's time, right? And they sitting there at the hospital. Now, mind you, this man done said he had surgery, back surgery, okay, 2 days ago. He had surgery about 2 or 3 days ago. Now they're at the hospital as a family. The sister gonna ask, what you gonna do for Christmas? And he gonna respond, not spend it with you, bitch. I'm gonna be everywhere but with you, bitch. And your conclusion is like, oh my gosh, why is the sister so mean? How? Like, common sense is not as common as it used to be. Nothing about that made you want to be like, wait a minute, like, why'd you call her a bitch? She just asked what you were going to be doing for Christmas. Why did you insult her? But no, because she was so in love with this man who was perfect in her eyes. Like, you are perfect in all of your ways. That song was not about sweet black Jesus. It was about this man. Because this man is so perfect in your eyes that you was going to be like, oh, why is she so mean? In that story alone, who is the mean and disrespectful one? Onyeka Danish. And so when she talks about being deceived and being like, whatchamacallit, bamboozled by this man, and I'm just kind of like, girl, I just, no, no, no. What do you mean? The daddy over there getting his cancerous cells on, okay? The mama crying, the younger sister crying, everybody sad because it's Christmas time, but the daddy over there with cancerous cells, bless his heart. The sister gonna ask what you gonna be doing for Christmas, and he gonna call her a bitch, and you mad at her, beloved. And then he gonna talk about how, like, oh, he gonna ask the mama to go ahead and fund the trip. This whole time, this man, everybody was having to borrow him money. What part of that made you feel like this man is savvy enough or intelligent enough when it comes to finances for you to keep lending him money after money after money after money? And he gonna ask the mama gonna be like, oh no, I'm not gonna give you no money unless you spend more time with us. And she gonna be like, okay, that's fine, just go ahead and spend time with your family. And he's like, no, I can't spend time with my family because I don't call my sister a bitch when my daddy over here getting his cancerous cells on at the hospital. Bless his heart. Okay, I'm so mad that I called somebody a bitch for asking me what I'm finna do for Christmas. It's time. And so Onyeka Danish decides to go ahead and pay even for that trip. My sister. And mind you, this baby done say he had back surgery about 2 to 3 days ago. He out here taking trains. He out here taking planes trying to go to Paris. Did you ask him to see the stitches? While he at the hospital sitting watching the daddy, okay? Watching the daddy trying to get his cancerous cells on. While he had a back surgery about 2 to 3 days ago. What sense does that make? Did that baby show you some of the stitches? How was he able to go ahead and sit, on a 4-hour train ride, right from his hometown all the way to Copenhagen, whatever that town name is, and then fly from there all the way to freaking Paris? None of that sounded suspicious to you. Somebody with back pain who just came from having surgery. Onyeka Danish, I'm sorry. Was the deception in the room with us? Because I'm looking around, stupidity is present. Stupidity, are you here? Present. Deception. I guess the deception was absent. Beloved, 3 days ago I had back surgery, but I still had the energy to go ahead and be calling my sister a bitch while my daddy is over here fighting for his virginity and his life, trying to survive some cancerous cells. Bless his heart. But I'm in so much pain. and so much tribulation that the only thing that's gonna make me feel better with my freshly whatchamacallit surgical back that I've been had did 3 days ago. The only thing that's gonna make me feel better is to go ahead and go to Paris on your dime. And she was like, I'm so happy. I'll just pay for everything. What are other ways that I can call you slow? Because I feel like at this point I'm running out of creativity. Like, what? How else can I say it, beloved? Like, no. And I'm not even trying to be mean. You were not thinking. You were not thinking at all. The thoughts were not present. It was giving thoughts and prayers. Don't ever be no thoughts. Don't ever be no prayers. Okay? Favorite color? 5. Your favorite color? 5. Okay? Re-end in cursive? 5. There is no way. No way in hell. Fast forward to the point where she done lent this man at least $30,000, if not more. Loan after loan after loan after loan, on top of funding their lifestyles, right? This man gonna be like, oh, let's go ahead and get married. We're just so in love. This woman agrees. He ain't got no money. He ain't got not a damn thing. This baby is giving you nothing and a half. But like the next logical step for you in your mind was to go ahead and take it to the altar. So they go ahead and get married, y'all. They get married, whatchamacallit, at the court or whatever. She don't tell nobody, which is another thing. When all of these things were happening, never told nobody, never told her family she was lending him money. And I'm like, that alone should I let you know you shouldn't have been doing it. But me, I'm so generous. I'm generous like my parents. No, beloved, you are slow. I'm not going to call your parents slow because I don't know them. And I truly believe that if anybody was going to be a victim, and I'm going to put victim in quotation marks, would be all the other people that he ended up scamming. Because if you haven't watched the whole series, this man goes ahead and scams her family and her friends. One of the friends she done scammed out of 200,000 whatchamacallit US dollars. 200,000 US dollars. He done scammed her parents, he done scammed her sisters, her friends, like he done scammed everybody. And I'm saying quotation marks because again, just like her, y'all also thought that okay, ain't no way. This a white man. Of course, he not gonna lie. He used different excuses like, oh, I'm finna buy her a present, but my money from the Danish accounts, it hasn't transferred, this, that, and the third. And these people kept lending her money. Like the sister lent him like $3,000, and he was like, oh, don't tell your sister because it's a surprise. And I'm just kind of like, I get it, surprises, but like, why you trying to surprise her with my money? Y'all keep traveling. Take another trip down there to Denmark, okay? Use your own money in Denmark and buy whatever you're trying to buy her to surprise. Why you trying to get your surprise on with my money? Does not make no sense at all. There's no world in which you will scam my sisters out of money on something like, oh, lend me money. Like, no. Do y'all just have so much disposable income that it's like y'all just don't got nothing to do with it? Because it's like, dang. The friend that was scammed out of like $200,000, I believe she started calling them crypto in her videos. I'm like, crypto, are you looking for new friends? Because I'm a good friend. I'm a friend of God. I could be friends with you too. Since y'all got $200,000 to be giving to white man, or he has investment, he has this, like, really? And the whole thing was like, don't tell nobody. Ain't that weird to y'all? We gonna invest some things, but don't tell whatchamacallit, don't tell my fiance or my girlfriend at the time. Wow. Why are we gonna keep it a secret from the only person that actually connects us to you. Why? She ain't told nobody not a damn thing. That wasn't suspicious to you. And you want us, and you done set us here for 2.5 hours and some change, narrating to us how you got your Eve deception on. No, it was not no deception, beloved. Absolutely not. Okay? Desperation indeed. Okay? Onyeka's desperation, yes. The curious case of Onyeka's desperation, for sure. Danish deception, no. Okay, no. And so back to the crypto story. So, anyways, they end up essentially, she's still borrowing him money, doing all of the things. She's borrowing him money, they're going on trips. She's borrowing him money, they're going on trips, and she's funding the trips. She did say that he will pay for like little things every now and then, but for the most part, she's borrowing him money and they're going on trips. And somewhere throughout that process, why does this man who is yet to pay you the money that he owes you. He's yet to pay you the money that he owes you. This baby done gave you concept of a plan after concept of a plan. I'm finna do this. I'm finna take over. You know them people that finna take over. It was giving New Year's resolution after New Year's resolution. Today is my day. This year, that's the year. This month, that's the month. This business, that's the business. Concept of a plan after concept of a plan after concept of a plan. That's the man that she not only agrees to marry. Mind you, she's funding their lifestyle, right? She's paying for a lot of the things. She's paying for, a lot of the trips and all of these things because he always has excuses. She's also borrowing him money every which way, borrowing him money, and this baby is not paying the money back. At one point, he pays her back like $9,000. But overall, he ain't paying the money back for real, right? For some reason, not only does our good sister Onyeka Danish, not only does she agree to marry this man who was giving nothing and a half. I do have to emphasize the half. Nothing and a half. Okay? That baby gave nothing and a half the whole time. Why this baby not only gonna decide to go ahead and marry this man, but she gonna decide to go ahead and quit her job because this man gonna allegedly provide for her. So this man does for let's plug it in because I feel like I'm just gonna go ahead and let's we need to calculate some things and I need both my hands to calculate. Okay? If this man gonna give you nothing and a half, okay, for the duration of your relations, and you gonna marry him in the secret place, okay, I'm talking about Victoria's Secret. Your papa don't know, your mama don't know. This same man gonna go ahead and borrow money from you, okay, without ever paying you nothing. Follow along, carry the three. Why in God's name do you think that man gonna get his Jehovah Jireh and provide for you? Solve for the sins, okay? Solve for the deception. Beloved, she gonna quit her job, her 150,000 whatchamacallit, yearly payment of a job, because this man allegedly makes like 400,000 whatchamacallit a year on his job. But again, concept of a plan after concept of a plan. He borrowing money from you. He trying to borrow money from his father. He trying to borrow money from his mom. He trying to borrow money from his friends. He's always borrowing. Every other Tuesday, what is this man doing? He gonna borrow. But that's the man that you think gonna get his Jehovah Jireh on and provide for your dumbass. Beloved, where is the deception? Like at this, Lord, where is it? No, She don't just do that. At one point, she gonna add him to the freaking she added him to her credit card. Now, mind you, this is after she done found out that this man actually he's a whatchamacallit, a gambling addict. This is after that. Still proceeds that she wants to marry this man. Still proceeds to carry things on with this man. Never tells anybody anything. Never tells anybody that she's a whatchamacallit, that she's already married to this man. They were just waiting to like make things, I guess, like, ceremonial, like to actually do the ceremonies. She pays off a credit card, the credit card that they ended up using on one of their trips. Mind you, this man was like, oh, let's just go ahead and use the credit card. Let's use your credit card to pay for a trip that they ended up taking or whatever the case is. After she pays for that credit card, Jesus paid it all. She pays for her credit card. After she's done, then she adds this man to that credit card. Mind you, this is when she knew that this man is a gambling addict. Now, Saints, where do you think we're going next in this story? With the credit card. Take a wild guess. What do you think this man did to the credit card? And she has more smoke for us. Because as I watch all the series, towards the end, she has like a bunch of other videos that she made talking about how, like, we are being very judgmental. We are not creating the space for like victims to come forth and, share their stories of like, some of these con artists, this, that, and the third. And I'm just kind of like, I've never been one to try to victim blame anybody, right? Somebody that's a victim of anything. I've never been one to try to do that. But beloved, I am struggling to find where you was a victim. You participated. You volunteered yourself. You did all of these things. Saying because you loved the man, because you couldn't see a life without him. Yo, she finds out that this man actually conned her friends, crypto, out of $200,000 to just fund his gambling addiction. Why this baby gonna be like, oh, my heart broke. I just cried. I cried so much. I cried. I was in pain because the tears that I cried and I cried. We decided to go ahead and go to their house, ask for forgiveness and make amends and set up a payment plan. But the next day we decided to go ahead and take a trip down there to Portugal. But it's us that's supposed to be sitting over here and empathizing and not calling you boo boo the fool. Like, it's us that's wrong. It's us that's wrong. We're not trying to beat down the dead horse. We're calling a thing a thing. You gotta learn from this. You gotta heal from, the obsession to keep a man. You gotta heal from that. And keeping a white one at that. You gotta heal from that because I can't no. You were gullible. There were so many signs. So many signs. You ignored them. So many times you decided to go ahead and stay beside this man to fight for your virginity and fight for your relations. You chose this. You did. I hate to say that you did. And the people who are actual victims to some degree of this man are your family and friends. Which I wish they were a little bit more just like, why is a secret? Like, why are you trying to borrow money from me and surprise my sister or surprise my friend? Like, no. Why are you trying to do the surprises on my dime? Like, no. Go to the house of God, okay? Ask the good Lord to go ahead and provide, give you the provision. Like, do something else. You're not going to go ahead and keep borrowing thousands of dollars on my account, thousands of dollars from my account to surprise my sister. No. Take her to Denmark. Surprise her there. Use your own money, your own card, your own currency. Use whatever. Since y'all stay traveling, go to Denmark. Surprise her there. What you mean? You guys should surprise her with my US dollars. But they are the actual victims because they didn't know about the gambling addiction until way later, until the end of the relationship with him. That's when you told them the truth. That's when you finally told them the truth. And mind you, as all these things unfolds, right? The biggest thing that pissed me off, and I was just kind of like, bow your head, because at this point, at this point, I was like, I don't think you need baptism. I think you need deliverance. Okay, you need to be set free. Okay, you need to be set, like, the stupidity at this one, that's a stronghold. Okay, it is a demonic stronghold, really. Because why, after all these things are happening, she still decides to stay with this man? She still decides to go ahead and continue the relations with this man. She still decides to go ahead and just like, yo, I'm gonna this man literally asked her, like, oh, I have no money, I'm broke, I'm sick, you still wanna marry me? She was like, yeah, absolutely. And so after all these things that this man did, he continues to go back and forth. He was like, oh, he's in rehab. He's doing, like, he's trying to get himself some help, this, that, and the third. And as things starts to get worse, why this girl gonna get mad at the man's family, talking about how, like, why they ain't told me that this baby had a gambling issue? And I'm like, pause. You knew this man had a gambling issue. Why didn't you tell your family and warn them? Because if the family was supposed to disclose this, why didn't you disclose that information to your own family and ultimately protect your own family from him? Why not? She blamed everybody by herself. Everybody was supposed to take accountability for the fact that this man done took $30,000 up out of her, done took money up out of her friends, up out of her family, and this and the third. Everybody was supposed to take accountability for that. Everybody but her. The family was wrong. The sister that was called a bitch, like, why didn't she say something? And the mama should have said something. The dad, everybody should have said something. And you, when all these things were going on, you kept quiet. You kept the marriage quiet. You kept the gambling quiet. You kept all of those things quiet. And the friends who had told her, like, oh, he had a gambling addiction, because they thought like he was done with it because he had like a big blow up, 10 years ago, right at the time. That friend even said, like, hey, he had borrowed money from me, but thank God eventually he done paid me back. Those words came from his own friends. Why didn't you take heed and go ahead and warn your own family who adored him because he was just so charming and everybody just like loved being around him? Why you ain't did that, beloved? Again, everybody was at fault except for you. You gotta take something and be like, dang, like, I really just wanted this. I wanted this man. This man that I found so attractive that he looked like a model, right? At Calvin Klein's campaign and the ads and them. This man was just so attractive. I was, enamored by the idea of him having like a royal title, or of his family being so wealthy, and him, just giving me whatever luxuries that I imagined in my mind, because all of these were imaginary. Again, this baby gave you a concept of a plan after a concept of a plan, story after story after story. Once upon a time, once upon a time, once upon a time after another and another and another. He gave you nothing. The only thing we know was the flight down to Monaco and the hotel that he booked you very, very in the beginning. You took no accountability, nothing. And so after finding out that he done conned your friends out of $200,000, You still didn't tell your family. You still didn't tell your sisters. You still didn't tell nobody because why you're trying to protect this man that you love very much. You're just so deeply in love with him. But somehow it is this man's family that was wrong for not telling you about the whole gambling. Why didn't you tell your family? Because at least at that point, you knew he coined some of your friends. The one that came out, the crypto friend. You ain't said nothing. But everybody's wrong except for you. Why? Well, I'm really like, where is the empathy? Because it's like, we got to locate my empathy. We got to. We got to. Because no way. And after all that, they were like a couple days away from the wedding. Tell me why this man gonna be the one to break off the relationship. Yeah, just take a listen to this.
He says, I am telling you, Anyeka, I made the transfer to the account she gave me. I would have come clean right now if I had it. At this point, I think we should call off the weddings. We are not working as a team, and I don't want to keep fighting over this. Your mom will get her 10K as soon as I get it back. No, let me rephrase that. We are calling it off. I'm doing my best for everyone. Now it's time to focus on my own mental health. I will stay at a hotel for a few nights. This is all too much for me. Once I get the money, we can discuss if there's a future, but the weddings are off. So at that point, I'm just, what is happening? This is just, I'm so confused. Obviously, I had just bought my wedding dress and I was planning this wedding, but the weddings weren't even like on my mind. I just knew that he was struggling with something really, really big and I wanted to know what it was. And the weddings, at this point I was like, let's cancel the weddings. I don't even care. So he gets back from the gym and he walks in the house. He walks past me. He walks past my best friend, goes up to the room. I follow him into the room and I go, hey, can we talk about this? He said, what is there to talk about? I told you I'm done. And I go, what does that mean? He says, I want a divorce. And at this point, I'm just stunned because never once has he mentioned leaving me or divorce or anything. So I'm shook at this point. And then he proceeds to tell me, he said, you prioritize your friends and family above me in our relationship. I've never felt like this is my home. I'm a guest in this home. My stuff is in the guest closet. And I'm like, your stuff wouldn't fit in the master closet. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm just sitting here just so confused. And he said, you only love me when there's money in my account, which is crazy because there was tons of times where there wasn't money in his account. And I'm just still trying to talk to him. So I'm like, I love you. You're the love of my life. He goes, you were the love of my life. And I feel so hurt, but I'm also like, this can't be him talking. This has to be the disease. This has to be the addiction that's talking. And so I'm still trying to communicate to him. And he's like, you know what? Don't worry. I'm going to fly back to Denmark. I'm going to get the money from the business account, make sure you're whole. And I also have received an offer to be a CEO of a company in Denmark making $1 million. And so now I'm just like, oh my gosh, he's for sure spiraling. Like, this is 100% the addiction. And it's insane because at this point I should have just been like, okay, go buy it and be done with him. But I'm very much still fighting for the relationship because I don't think that there's anything crazy big that we can't navigate and come through together. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want him to leave me. And at this point, it's crazy because I had definitely thought to myself, like, what life would be like without him, and almost was like mentally preparing myself for it. But I always thought it was gonna be on my terms. But the fact that he was leaving me just like put me in like this like fight or flight, and I just wanted to fight for him. And I said, I love you. We're gonna figure this out. Let's take some space, but flying to Denmark is not the answer. And he says, I have made up my mind and I'm not changing my decision. We are both exhausted. Our individual peace has been at stake for too long and we need to protect that. We tried. God knows we fought for it, but the battle is over. Let's find peace each on our own. Let me know when you're heading back. I packed the first suitcase. I might do the other tomorrow. It's a bit difficult for me as well. So after being at the lake, I go upstairs trying to talk to him, and he is just not even wanting to be within like 5 feet of me. And I'm like, let's talk about this.
Sister Onyeka Danish, one thing about you, you have an unnatural allegiance to losers that I cannot comprehend. Right? Like, after all of this, again you were begging. Like, You were begging this white gambling man to go ahead and stay with you. And we are calling this series the Danish Deception. No, this should be the desperation of our good sis or Onyeka Danish. Okay? Desperate Housewives of Dallas. That's what this is. Dallas Desperate Housewives. That's what this is. You begged. You begged. Like what? Your ego and your pride was just like so wounded. Like you begged. Which lets me know that if that man had not left that day, this series would not exist. You would continue to stay with him. Not a damn thing would have changed. You sat there and you begged, or you begged, you begged a gambling white man who gave you nothing and a half with concept of a plan after concept of a plan. You begged that man, Sister Onyeka, Sister Onyeka, but bow your head because we're just going to close this out in prayer. Father God, deliver my sister because ain't no way. You know what I'm saying? Like you done went to Calvary, you know what I'm saying, and redeem some things. Can you please redeem her brain? Can you please redeem her critical thinking skills? God, redeem. Okay, go ahead and redeem our good sis Onyeka Danish. Align her spine, relocate her brain, connect the dots, beloved. Please. Sweet Black Jesus, go ahead and do it like only you can. Deliver her. Okay, deliver her in Jesus' name. Hallowed be thy name. Amen. No, no, no. You were not deceived. You wanted this man, the illusion of him having what, a royal title, he an Olympian, he has all this money. Like, you wanted a man, and that's okay. There is nothing wrong with desiring partnership. I've never been one of those girls that be like, oh, you know, you don't need no man. Like, we need each other. We shouldn't be desperate about it, but we do need companionship. We do need that love. We do need that intimacy. It's okay, but not at the expense of your sanity, not at the expense of your well-being, not at the expense of your finances. No. So to sit over here and beg this man because what, your ego was so bruised that he could leave you, you were not deceived. Because if he hadn't left, you would still be there with him. You would be. So forgive me and forgive us that we cannot locate the deception in this whole story. At least I know I cannot. Okay? Really beautiful gowns, really beautiful hair, really beautiful skin, but the deception not in the room. I wish your family and your friends would tell you the truth. They don't have to be harsh about it. They don't have to be mean about it. But I wish somebody in your life would hold your hand and let you know that, beloved, you was wrong. The reason, part of the reason why you was in this mess is your own doing. Is this man a con artist? Yes. Is this man terrible? 1000%. But you aligned yourself with this because you wanted to believe that there is no way this white man, this noble man, could ever do you like that. You were so committed to being in love with him that you overlooked things that you should not have been overlooking. And it's okay for us to sit and actually name that. It's okay. It really is. Alrighty, that's it on me, y'all. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. This was just like, after Risa Tisa, I didn't know we would get another story like this. I do have to say, our good sis Onyeka Danish, she's a talker and a yapper like me. She did her thing, and I hope she does get some money, okay, from all the series and how long-winded she was with it. I hope she whatchamacallit, she gets some money to go ahead and pay back some of her friends that were scammed by the man she was busy protecting. I really hope she made some money off of TikTok, and like I hope, she comes out of this. I hope she heals from this. But like sis, next time you fall in love, go ahead and put your brain in the pocket. It don't have to be up here, but it just has to be within the vicinity, right? Like if you look around, you gotta be like, oh, my brain over there. So you can go ahead and attach it whenever needed. Ideally, it should always be in your head. But based off of this, I don't think I can really expect that from you, right? But at the very least, try your hardest to keep the brain within vicinity. Okay? If you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that you always know when I upload. I'm gonna go ahead and see you guys on the next one. Bye, Z's.